Hi, this is Liam. Welcome back to Dynamic Alignment Bodywork. I wanted to take a few minutes before my first client today to chat with all of you about, or more about, forearm and hand mobility and balance. I've been hearing back from a few of you since a video I posted maybe 6 weeks ago or so about balancing your forearm flexors and extensors through movement and stretching, and it seems like that was really helpful for a lot of people. So I want to go into that same topic again today and show one other exercise that I've been finding really helpful. Again, one of those like cognitive or really aware type of exercises. Forearm and hand feeding up into the shoulder girdle, head and neck. I think this is more sort of front loading for the exercise we're going to do, but we hear a fair amount about how impinged shoulder can mean, funky like carpal tunnel type syndromes down lower, and if you haven't heard that, now you have. I think there's a fair amount of talk about that, but less emphasis on how what's happening here can not only affect forearm, hand and function, forearm and hand function, and pain levels, and that's true, and also how that becomes part of what in the anatomy trains or KMI world are the arm lines, how they feed up into the head, neck, and trunk, and how balance here can really help function and structure everywhere else. So our movement today is going to be about individually articulating our fingers, which not only is happening here, but all this tissue goes depending on the muscle and what it affects. But here's sort of the immediate area of the effect. So you could look at like the muscles are up here, and then they have long tendons which go down. So if I can get these things moving freely on this end, that means freer movement and less gunking together and sticking up on this end, which again means better function, less pain, all the stuff that we like. So here's what it's going to look like. I'm going to put my hand on a flat surface. I have the Something Honor book of Zen shorts that a client gave me. Put my hand on that. I'm just putting that because I have my table here, which has a little bit of squish, so it's nice to have a hard surface. And all I'm doing is individually, that wasn't a good example actually because my hand came up, but I'm individually lifting one finger after the other and pushing to see. I'll notice some fingers, so for me, like this right ring finger is a little more sticky, and almost immediately it starts to kind of burn here if I really start to play with that sort of movement. I'm going to have the tendency to want to have the rest of my hand take over, which is what's happening in function, which is why that forearm can be a bit more sticky and imbalanced and in pain. So an exaggeration of that for me is like if I'm lifting, I want to start lifting the other fingers too to get my hand back. But the truth is that this finger and this whole line is more sort of gunked up and less online. So I am helping bring it online. Again, through this individual articulation. These feel pretty easy. I'm having this joint stay flat on the floor. I'm not lifting up. Here, 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 here. Do both hands. Spend maybe a minute or 90 seconds on each hand. And again, especially hanging out in those spots like this one feels pretty weak too. Like, ooh, even less, right? If I cut my hand, I can lift it a lot. But if I'm pinning this joint on the book, I can barely lift it. This one I get better motion, right? So just examples of ways that it can play. All of these knuckles, the bottoms are flat. As you get better at this, want to start playing with it a little bit more, or just to really make sure you're doing it, you can start to weight more into that forearm. So I'm really pouring weight through my whole hand. A lot of us will tend to brace on the outside, but I'm pressing through. Just like if this were my foot, I would be weighting into my arch and not bracing into the outside of my leg. And then here, with more weight pushing down. As I ease this angle, it gets easier, right? As I increase this, I shorten up these tissues. I compress here, and so it makes it a lot harder to fire. Like a lot of the exercises we're doing, even just a little bit of movement is great. It's more about the sensation and waking up those neural pathways, those myofascial, neural, the whole bit, those pathways of movement. So if I'm really waiting, you know, this is me moving my ring finger, right? Oh, I can like barely do it, but it burns up here. So I'm gonna breathe, notice my tendency to do that, fight against it. I'm not in a hurry to get anywhere, and in fact, I'm going nowhere. And I know that. I'm just waking up. This is, as they say about the journey, it really is, and not about the destination in terms of these kinds of movements. So already this hand feels a lot more free and open. So whether I'm doing something like a front squat, you know, and setting up a front rack, or writing, typing, if you work with your hands, aerialists, body workers, those kinds of things, having a balanced, strong secondary, strength following balance of tissues through my arms, starting with my hands and forearms, can be amazingly helpful. It's been amazingly helpful for me. I would say even more so lately than any kind of like body work or helping work out kinks that form because of imbalanced tissue and the ways I move that. So bringing lots of awareness into my hands and forearms is really what this exercise is about. I hope that information is helpful for you. As always, signing out from my studio on Capitol Hill. I'll see you soon.